Hey everybody, this is Mark McNutt here, and I'm enjoying, to the best of my ability, late summer here at Living Well. I've got a couple of my friends here, and we're being filmed to do our monthly astrological update, which I like to do right around the new moon each month. So that's because the new moon is the start of the new lunation time, and rather than doing a calendar month, such as September or whatever, what we're talking about is looking at the new moon, which is the nurtures the beginning cycle for a whole theme for the entire month. This month, it's the month of Virgo, and around here, of course, it's also known as the zucchini moon, which goes on for a few months, but that's another story. So this is Sun and Moon in Virgo coming right up on September 8th. And moving there on. And Virgo, there's two subjects I want to talk about today. One is about the new moon and that cycle and a few other things with the planets right now. The other one is about the retrogrades, how they work, retrograde, stationary, direct, and their importance in astrology, because I use them a lot. It tells me a lot about what's going on. So first of all, new moon in Virgo. Virgo is a sign of discernment, and it's a sign of health and well-being, and taking care of the earth plane, taking care of whatever your earth plane is. So you may notice that we're in a what many are calling a pandemic period, and I think it's important to take that seriously, that this is a time to really be looking at health, even though high summer and we're getting lots of vitamin D and stuff like that. I don't want to weigh in on opinions about vaccines or about certainly not about conspiracy theories. I find them to be low-level fuel compared to, basically, if you believe in any conspiracy, ask yourself, does this empower me? Does this empower me, or is this a distraction? That's all I want to say about that. And just want to say that no matter who you are, no matter what your situation is, right now, early September and into October is going to be a time to be really paying attention to your health and well-being, no matter who you are. The other thing that fits for everybody is that this is a time of work and service and discernment and sorting out the details of your life right now. Like we just had the Sun and Moon in Leo, so that was high summer, joy, expression, and then we're moving into the changing time that's going to, that is the time of discernment and the time of service and the time of getting things done, and then we're moving into Libra after that. Now the Libra lunation is going to be really interesting starting in early October, but I'm not going to go there now. I'm going to go to what we're talking about here this month. Just briefly, the internal planets. You have personal planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars. You have the planets that link with the outer planets: Jupiter and Saturn. And then you have the outer planets: Uranus, Neptune, and yes, we believe in Pluto, as well as Ceres. And there's a lot of retrogrades going on right now with the outer planets. With the inner realm, it's all very personal. So now this time, Mercury's changing, Venus is changing. This is, the personal planets are very particular, and the timing is very particular. So the way to strategize that is to get a personal reading and to tune in with your personal themes. This is an overview that I'm otherwise giving. So please do that. I like to hear from you. I love to hear the feedback too. And also join us. Say you like it, and also become a member of Arius News at YouTube. As far as the inner planets go, this time is ruled by Mercury. Mercury has to do with mind and communication, and Mercury is in Libra the entire month of September and October. And that's because Mercury does a retrograde on September 26th to mid-October, around the 18th, I believe. People are always interested in that Mercury retrograde, and that's because Mercury governs communication, the mind. It also has a strong link with electromagnetics and with your smartphone, and how you communicate. So as far as psychic communication goes, it's fine. This is a great time for psychic communication. When Mercury goes retrograde, it's a time when sometimes your smartphone can crap out, or that message can be lost, or you have you have a lesser facility to communicate very succinctly and directly. Mercury in Libra is about compromises and trying to split the difference and be in harmony and balance. Sometimes we can't always do that. So whatever we're going through now as far as our mental states or whatever, it's going to be mirrored at the end of the month as Mercury goes retrograde and moves back through the same sign all over again. So there may be a lot of reworking of communications. My short advice is get her done now. New moon's a good time to take new initiatives. Know what you're doing next month. Know what you're doing in a few weeks. Like make plans, carry them out. Okay, so that's as far as that goes. Venus is moving from Libra into Scorpio. Things could be really intense in the relationship front. And Mars is in Virgo right now, and that's about getting the work done. So if you're like me and do farming and things like that, it's the time to tune into the crops. If your goal is to write that thesis or to create that website or whatever, it's time to get onto it. We're not at a place of stasis right now. We're at a place of the deck being reshuffled, and things are very dynamically moving. So, with that in mind, part 2 is about retrogrades, stationary, and direct. So, the big picture. As seen from the Earth, we're all on this Earth plane reality here, and it's a relative reality. So geocentrically speaking, the planets take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. All the planets retrograde except for the Sun and Moon, which we count as the lights or planets. So Mercury, Venus, Mars, they all move retrograde during certain cycles. The one that everybody's concerned about is Mercury retrograde, which happens for about 3 weeks every year. And it's a brain melt time, generally. If you're born with Mercury retrograde, or for that matter, any planet retrograde, the retrograde time is a natural time for you. So people who are born under Mercury retrograde, and by the way, that's retrograde is seen as a little RX at the bottom of the chart. If you're born under Mercury retrograde, you can actually become more mentally focused down when Mercury is retrograde. The caveat with that, the drawback, is that doesn't apply to everybody. So the 10% or 18% of us that have Mercury retrograde will do fine under Mercury retrograde. The rest of us, brain melt. So it's fine as long as you're just talking to other retrograde Mercury people. You know, the psychic abilities are more tuned when the rational abilities are less at a forefront. Then there's many, so Mercury's not retrograde until September 26th. That's a big date for everybody. So then we have the other outer planets that are retrograde. That is Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, and all of these except for and Neptune. And all these except for Uranus and Neptune come out of retrograde at the next lunation. So between the 4th of October and the 15th of October, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all come out of their summer retrograde. At the beginning of the retrograde, we were looking at, let's just take pandemic for a moment here, and please, then leave it go. So what happens is Jupiter started retrograding beginning of the summer, same with Saturn, same with Pluto, and so we saw, we were looking at, well, maybe business as usual, maybe we're going back to normal. I don't believe in back to normal, I believe in forward to something else. But then this retrograde time is a time when you look and see the tide coming in, and you get all hopeful, and then all of a sudden the tide pulls out. So Jupiter And then you have to go across old ground again. So Jupiter has to do with how we expand and grow and broaden our horizons. And it's been in Aquarius a lot of this year, which has to do with people concerns and ideals and whatever our group is. That also goes with Saturn in Aquarius. It's very much like we're recognizing what our tribes are, for better or worse. And then Jupiter moving backwards in Aquarius it's just basically picking up a lot of loose ends. It's not necessarily a danger signal of itself. Saturn retrograde in Aquarius is all these idealistic concerns, which includes everything from conspiracy theories to bonding with your friends and creating a better world together. All of these things are relating to Saturn in Aquarius, and Saturn in Aquarius goes on for 2.5 years, but Saturn has been retrograde all this summer. So this is sort of like there's kind of a coming undone of the Earth plane and the rational choices that we've made up until recently. Pluto going retrograde. Pluto's been retrograde since late spring, and Pluto has to do a transformation, death and rebirth, and a magnanimous, amazing ability to like shapeshift. Not necessarily in a good way, but so it's like important to harness the energy of Pluto in Capricorn and retool the way that we do business, the way that we do government, the way that we do structure our personal lives and our collective lives together. Aquarius has a lot to do with the collective lives. Capricorn has a lot to do with the structure and the being in relation to society, if you will. All of these go retrograde and come out of retrograde at a certain time because, as seen from the Earth, they're in a very similar position. So picture the runners around a track, and if you're on the inside track, when you go around a corner, it appears sometimes that runners are moving backwards when you're running faster or whatever. So the perspective is that Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, as well as Uranus and Neptune are all moving backwards, but that's our perception. And it's a temporary coming undone. It's a temporary dissolving of the past. And the best thing I can tell you about that is when old systems break down, it's the best time to create something new. So I don't agree with people who are looking forward to the same old, or things going back to the way that they were. There is no going back. There's only going forward. So one of your essay questions I'm going to give you is, how do you intend to move forward, given the realities of the moment? I love to go to festivals, and I love to talk to a variety of people in the day, face to face, not on Zoom, but that's not available to me right now. So how do I create the omelet out of the eggs as they're breaking? That's one of the essay questions. Another is, what do you intend to do between now and the time that the summer ends? Traditionally, it's been stimulation for social life and for being outdoors and so forth like that. And that looks differently than it did a few years ago. And guess what? It's going to continue to look different. So don't hold on or cling to the past. That could be really distracting at this time. Instead, attract yourself to the future and the future that you want to create. We have passages such as the Sun and Mars, and like right now, Mars opposition Neptune, and the Sun is opposite that point, and Mercury goes in and out of an opposition with retrograde Neptune. Neptune is about beliefs, and there's always a balance of reality and our beliefs. And if we don't believe something strong enough, it doesn't happen. So energy does follow intention. But if we just believe in something and we're not really on board with it, it can also be wishful thinking. So this is a time to separate your reality from your wishful thinking and to decide what you want to put your energy into, what you want to shoot your arrows at, what your target is. This is an optimum time for doing that. And then next month, with the next lunation in Libra as these three planets, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, come out of retrograde, and as Mercury goes in and out of retrograde, or the pieces will fall into place really well. Energy follows intention, so you have to decide what the pieces are that you want to fall in place. And nostalgia for the past isn't going to help you. What's going to help you is nostalgia for the future and for the vision that you want to co-create. So I wish you good fortune with that. To be continued.